There is a moment, usually in the middle of the night, when the armor you wear during the day finally cracks. The competence, the composure, the carefully constructed self that navigates meetings and relationships, and the thousand small performances of adult life, all of it falls away. And what remains is a tightness in your chest that has no name, a knot of unnamed anxiety that has lived in your body for so long you have forgotten what it feels like to breathe without it. You are not broken. You are carrying something, and you have been carrying it since you were very small. It is the accumulated weight of moments when you learned that your feelings were too big, your needs too much, your very existence an inconvenience to the adults who were supposed to protect you. These moments did not break you, but they did change you. They taught you to hide, to minimize, to cut off parts of yourself and leave them behind like shed skin. Tonight is different. Tonight, you will go back for those parts of yourself, not with shame or regret, but with the most powerful force in the universe, compassionate awareness. You will discover that healing is not about erasing the past or pretending the wounds never existed. Healing is about changing your relationship with what happened through a process that quantum physics has been trying to tell us about for a century. The observer effect. In the quantum realm, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until they are observed. The act of observation collapses infinite possibilities into a single reality. Your memories work the same way. The painful moments of your childhood exist in a superposition of meanings. They are both wounding and strengthening, both rejection and redirection, both loss and ultimately liberation. But for years, perhaps decades, you have been collapsing them in only one direction: shame, inadequacy, unworthiness. What if tonight you could observe those moments differently? What if the simple act of witnessing your younger self with compassion, without judgment, without the desperate need to fix or erase, could fundamentally reorganize how those memories are encoded in your nervous system? This is not magical thinking. This is quantum biology, neuroscience, and trauma-informed psychology converging on a single truth. Awareness changes everything. Your body has been keeping score, holding onto every moment of rejection and shame in the fibers of your muscles, the tension in your jaw, the shallowness of your breath. Your nervous system has been stuck in a state of perpetual alert, scanning every interaction for signs that once again you are too much or not enough. The 5-year-old who learned that crying was shameful is still living in your solar plexus. The 12-year-old who sat alone at lunch is still constricting your throat. The teenager who was told they were too sensitive is still creating that familiar tightness in your chest. But here is what you have not known until this moment. Those younger versions of you are not gone. They are frozen, caught in moments of pain, waiting, not for rescue, but for recognition. They are waiting for you to come back with your adult awareness, your broader perspective, your capacity to see what they could not see in those moments. They are waiting for you to witness them fully and say the words that will collapse the quantum wave function of shame into the quantum reality of worthiness. This is a sleep story, yes, but it is more than that. It is an invitation to a journey that will happen partly in your conscious awareness and partly in the mysterious realm of sleep, where your subconscious mind does its deepest work. As you listen to these words, as you allow yourself to be guided through the quantum landscape of your own inner world, you will meet these younger versions of yourself. You will practice the art of compassionate observation, and you will feel, in real time, the somatic releases that occur when frozen trauma finally melts back into the flow of life. By the time you wake tomorrow morning, something fundamental will have shifted. The neural pathways that have kept you trapped in cycles of shame and self-doubt will have been reorganized. The nervous system that has been in a state of perpetual threat will have received the signal it has been desperate for. You are safe now. The tightness in your chest may still return sometimes. Healing is not linear, not a one-time event. But you will know how to meet it differently. You will know how to return to this place of compassionate witnessing again and again, as many times as needed. So settle into your bed now, letting your body be fully supported by the mattress beneath you. Feel the pillow cradling your head, the blankets cocooning you in warmth. Let your eyes close, not with effort, but with the gentle surrender of eyelids that are simply too heavy to remain open. Your conscious mind can rest. Your protective defenses can stand down. You are about to embark on the most important journey of your life, the journey back to yourself. Begin with your breath, not changing it, not controlling it, simply noticing it. The way air enters your nostrils, cool and crisp, filling your lungs with life-giving oxygen. The way it exits, warm and used, carrying away what your body no longer needs. This breath is a bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious, between your waking self and your dreaming self, between who you think you are and who you truly are beneath all the adaptations. With each exhale, feel yourself sinking a little deeper into the bed, into yourself, into this present moment. The sounds of your environment, the hum of traffic, the whisper of wind, the settling of your home, all of these begin to fade, becoming distant and unimportant. Your awareness is turning inward now, away from the external world with all its demands, and toward the vast, mostly unexplored territory of your inner landscape. Imagine, or simply sense, that you are standing at the edge of a field. But this is not an ordinary field of grass and flowers. This is a quantum field, a landscape made of pure consciousness, where the normal rules of time and space do not apply. Here, past and present exist simultaneously. Here, memory is not fixed, but fluid, not a photograph, but a living river that can be redirected. Here, you have access to every version of yourself you have ever been, every age, every stage, every moment. The field glows with a soft, bioluminescent light, as if each blade of grass contains its own small sun. The sky above, if it can be called a sky, is a canvas of shifting colors, aurora-like waves of possibility, moving in slow, hypnotic patterns. The air itself feels different here, thicker somehow, charged with potential, as if every breath you take is breathing in pure possibility. As you stand at the edge of this quantum field, you notice structures in the distance. They look like crystals, or perhaps like frozen moments caught in glass, each one glowing with its own particular light. Some emit a warm, golden radiance. These are the happy memories, the moments of joy and connection and ease. Others pulse with cooler, dimmer light, some nearly dark. These are the painful memories, the moments of wounding, the experiences that left marks on your psyche and your soma. You understand intuitively that each of these crystallized structures is a collapsed wave function, a moment from your past that has been observed in a particular way and thus locked into a particular meaning. The dark ones are memories that have been collapsed through the lens of shame, rejection, inadequacy. They have been observed hundreds, perhaps thousands of times through that lens, each observation reinforcing the interpretation, building up layers of pain like sediment. But here is what quantum physics teaches us. What has been collapsed can be uncollapsed. A wave function can be returned to its state of superposition, its state of multiple simultaneous possibilities, if the conditions are right. And the condition required is simple but profound. Observation from a different perspective. Not the frightened observation of a child who doesn't understand what's happening. Not the shame-filled observation of an adolescent convinced of their own inadequacy, but the compassionate, informed observation of your adult self who can see context, who understands human psychology, who knows that people hurt people not because of the worth of the person being hurt, but because of the pain of the person doing the hurting. A guide appears beside you in this quantum landscape. You cannot see them clearly. They are more a presence than a form, more a feeling than a figure. This guide is both separate from you and part of you, the aspect of your consciousness that has always known the way home, even when your conscious mind was lost. The guide speaks, and their voice is warm, patient, infinitely kind. You have spent your life running from these dark structures, these painful memories. You have used every coping mechanism available to you: work, achievement, perfectionism, people-pleasing, numbing, dissociation, all in service of not having to look at them directly. But what we resist persists. What we avoid controls us. Tonight, you will do what you have been too afraid to do. You will walk toward them. But you will not walk alone, and you will not walk as the child who experienced them. You will walk as the adult you are now, with all the resources, all the understanding, all the compassion you have accumulated. You take a step forward into the quantum field, and the glowing grass parts before you like water, creating a clear path. With each step, you feel yourself settling more deeply into your adult awareness. You are not regressing to childhood. You are bringing your full adult consciousness back to moments that desperately need it. You feel your feet solid beneath you, your breath steady in your chest, your mind clear and focused. You are ready. The first dark structure, the first frozen moment, calls to you from across the field. And with courage you did not know you possessed, you begin to walk toward it. The structure expands as you approach, unfolding like an origami flower in reverse, until it surrounds you completely, and you are standing inside the memory. You are in a living room, but everything is wrong-sized, distorted by the perception of a very young child. The furniture towers over you like monuments. The ceiling seems impossibly far away. The voices of adults boom and echo as if coming from speakers turned up too loud. And there, in the corner, you see them, your 5-year-old self. They are so small, smaller than you remember being, smaller than seems possible. They are wearing clothes you recognize from old photographs. That striped shirt, those corduroy pants. But what arrests your attention is not the clothing, but the expression on that young face. A mixture of confusion, hurt, and a desperate, clawing need to understand what they did wrong. The scene is frozen, but you can feel what was happening in this moment. Your 5-year-old self had been so excited, so full of unguarded joy about something. A drawing they made, a story they wanted to tell, a discovery in the backyard that seemed magical. They had run to the adult, whoever the adult was in your particular story, mother, father, grandmother, caregiver, bursting with the urgency to share this joy. And the adult had snapped. Not with malice, perhaps, but with the frayed edges of their own overwhelm, their own unprocessed trauma, their own depletion. Not now. Can't you see I'm busy? Why do you always need so much attention? Stop being so needy. The words might have been different in your specific memory, but the message was the same. Your exuberance was a burden. Your joy was an inconvenience. Your very existence was too much. Watch what happened in that small body when those words landed. See how the shoulders curled inward, a protective gesture around the heart. See how the breath caught and held, the diaphragm freezing in mid-inhale. See how the light in those young eyes dimmed, replaced by something much heavier. Shame, that soul-crushing emotion that says, there is something fundamentally wrong with me. This is the moment that froze, not just in memory, but in your body. The nervous system, that exquisitely sensitive alarm system, interpreted this interaction as life-threatening. To a child, rejection from a caregiver is a biological threat. Without the adult's care, the child cannot survive. So the nervous system did what it was designed to do. It created a protective response. I will never be this vulnerable again. I will never need this much again. I will make myself smaller, quieter, less. I will become acceptable. And that 5-year-old made an unconscious vow in that moment, a vow that has run your life ever since. My needs are shameful. My joy is too much. I must hide my authentic self to be loved. That vow has been operating in the background of every relationship, every job, every interaction you have had since then. It is why you apologize for existing, why you minimize your accomplishments, why you cannot accept compliments, why you are exhausted from the constant performance of being less than you are. But here is what your 5-year-old self could not know, could not see, did not have the cognitive development to understand. The adult's reaction was never about them. The guide's voice speaks softly beside you. Look more closely at the full scene. Use your adult eyes to see what the child could not. You look and you see context. You see the stack of bills on the table, the phone that has been ringing all day, the worry lines carved deep into the adult's face. You see their own exhaustion, their own overwhelm, their own unprocessed childhood wounds that left them with no capacity to regulate emotion, let alone help a child regulate. You see that their harshness was not a reflection of your 5-year-old self's worth, but a reflection of their own depletion. You see something else too, something the shame has never let you see. You see the courage it took for that 5-year-old to approach the adult despite the tension in the house. You see the beautiful, undefended openness of a child who still believed that joy could be shared, that love could be offered freely. You see resilience, even in this moment of rejection. Even as the wound was being created, that child was already adapting, already figuring out how to survive. This is superposition. This moment contains multiple realities simultaneously. It contains the reality of rejection, yes, but it also contains the reality of your courage, your capacity for joy, your resilience, your immense heart that wanted nothing more than to share love. For decades, you have been collapsing this memory into only one reality. I am too much. But tonight, you are going to collapse it differently. The guide instructs you. Approach your younger self, not to rescue, not to fix, but to witness, to observe with compassion, to offer what that moment truly needed: validation, context, and unconditional acceptance. You move slowly toward your 5-year-old self, and as you do, you feel something extraordinary happening in your physical body, the body lying in bed right now. There is a stirring in your chest, a warmth beginning to radiate from the center of your ribcage. This is not imagination. This is your nervous system responding to the shift in observation, to the change in how you are relating to this memory. Kneel down so you are at eye level with your younger self. Look into those young eyes with all the tenderness you possess, and speak the words that this moment has been waiting decades to hear. I see you, you say, and as you say it, feel the truth of it reverberating through your entire being. I see how excited you were. I see how much love you had to offer. I see how open your heart was. The frozen scene begins to shimmer like heat rising from pavement, as if the observation itself is changing the molecular structure of the memory. This is the observer effect in action. The compassionate witnessing is literally reorganizing the neural encoding of this experience. You were not too much, you continue, your voice steady and sure. You were exactly right. Your joy was appropriate. Your need for connection was healthy. Your desire to share your discoveries was beautiful. Each word lands like a drop of water on parched earth, absorbed instantly, desperately needed. The adult could not receive your gift in that moment, but that was about their capacity, not your worth. This reframe is crucial. It separates the child's inherent lovability from the adult's temporary inability to respond. It gives the child permission to remain open, to remain themselves, without taking on the shame of rejection. I want you to know something that will change everything, you say, leaning in closer. You survived this moment. You survived all the moments like it. And that survival brought you here, to me, to us. You kept us alive. And now, I am going to keep you safe. I am going to give you what you needed then, and have needed every day since: unconditional acceptance. As these words penetrate the frozen moment, you watch something miraculous happen. The 5-year-old's shoulders begin to soften, to drop away from their ears. The held breath releases in a long, shuddering exhale. The light returns to those young eyes, not the desperate light of seeking approval, but the steady light of being seen and accepted. And in your physical body, lying in your bed, you feel corresponding releases. That chronic tightness in your chest, the one you have carried for so long you forgot it was not normal, begins to dissolve. It melts like ice in warm water, creating space where there has only been constriction. Your own breath deepens, dropping down from your upper chest into your belly, engaging your diaphragm fully, perhaps for the first time in years. The guide explains what is happening. Your nervous system has been holding this memory as an active threat for your entire life. Every time you felt excited about something, every time you wanted to share joy, every time you needed connection, this memory fired off alarm signals. Danger! You will be rejected. You are too much. This kept your body in a state of perpetual stress, flooding you with cortisol and adrenaline, keeping your muscles tight, your breath shallow, your heart rate elevated. But now, the guide continues. By witnessing this moment with compassion, by offering your younger self what they needed, you are sending new information to your nervous system. You are teaching your body that this moment is no longer a threat. It is simply a memory, a moment that happened, that was painful, but that is over. The 5-year-old is safe now. You are safe now. And when the nervous system receives the signal of safety, everything changes. You feel it changing in real time. The tension in your jaw, held for so long you no longer noticed it, begins to release. Your tongue, pressed hard against the roof of your mouth in perpetual vigilance, softens and settles. Your shoulders, hiked up in a protective posture, drop down your back, allowing your neck to lengthen. Your hips, clenched in a pattern of bracing, begin to open and soften. This is trauma leaving the body, not through force or willpower, but through the gentle, persistent application of compassionate awareness. The frozen energy, the life force that has been locked in this memory, maintaining it in a state of active wounding, is finally being released back into circulation throughout your system. You extend your arms toward your 5-year-old self, offering an embrace, but not forcing it. The child looks at you with wonder, as if they cannot quite believe this is real, that someone is finally seeing them without judgment, without the demand that they be different. And then, with a movement that seems to take tremendous courage, they step forward into your arms. The moment your younger self makes contact with you, a wave of sensation floods your body. It is not painful, but it is intense. A tingling that starts at the base of your spine and radiates upward and outward, reaching into your extremities. This is the nervous system resetting, recalibrating, updating its threat assessment database. The embrace is not just emotional, it is energetic, a literal reunification of fragmented parts of your consciousness. You feel the small body in your arms begin to dissolve, not disappearing, but integrating, merging back into you. The frozen 5-year-old is no longer stuck in that painful moment. Time is moving again for them. They can finally grow up, not in linear time, but in the quantum realm of consciousness, where all your ages exist simultaneously. The child is coming home, returning to the wholeness of your being, bringing with them all the joy, curiosity, and open-hearted love that you exiled when you decided it was not safe to be fully yourself. As the integration completes, you feel a fundamental shift in your inner landscape. Where there was once a dark, pain-filled structure, there is now a soft, warm glow. The memory has not been erased. What happened still happened, but its meaning has been transformed, collapsed from a quantum state of shame into a quantum state of compassion and understanding. This memory no longer proves that you are too much. It proves that you were a beautiful, loving child navigating impossible circumstances, and that you survived. But the journey is not complete. Your 5-year-old self was not the only version of you that froze in moments of pain. As you stand in the quantum field, you notice other dark structures pulsing in the distance, each one calling for the same compassionate witnessing. The guide gestures toward them. Each developmental stage of childhood has its own needs, its own vulnerabilities, its own potential wounding. Tonight, we will visit several more, integrating as many parts of you as are ready to come home. You move toward the next structure, and it unfolds to reveal an elementary school classroom. Desks in neat rows, alphabet letters bordering the ceiling, the dusty chalk smell of institutional learning. And there, sitting alone at a desk in the back corner, is your 8-year-old self. This version of you is hunched over a test paper, eraser shavings scattered around them, eyes beginning to fill with tears they are desperately trying to hold back. You remember this day, or one very much like it. The test was on multiplication tables, or spelling words, or some other elementary school metric of worth. Your 8-year-old self had studied, had tried so hard, but when the test was placed on the desk, panic had set in. The numbers or letters swam on the page. The harder they tried to focus, the more their brains seemed to shut down. The teacher had walked by, seen the mostly blank page, and made a sound, a small sigh of disappointment, maybe a comment. You're not even trying. Or your classmates are already finished. Or simply a look that communicated clearly, you are failing. And in that moment, your 8-year-old self had made another vow to add to the collection. I am stupid. I am not capable. I cannot trust my own mind. But watch with your adult eyes now. See what your 8-year-old could not see. See that this child was not stupid. They were anxious. See that they were operating in a state of nervous system overwhelm, with cortisol flooding their prefrontal cortex, making it impossible for the executive functions of memory and recall to work properly. See that they were likely dealing with an undiagnosed learning difference, or test anxiety, or the after effects of chronic stress at home. See also what was right about this child. Look at the determination on that young face, the refusal to give up, even though panic is rising. Look at the imagination visible in the doodles in the margins of the paper. This is a creative mind, not a stupid one. Look at the sensitivity, the way this child deeply cares about meeting expectations, about making adults proud. This is not inadequacy. This is a beautiful, sensitive nervous system that needs support, not judgment. You approach your 8-year-old self and place a gentle hand on their shoulder. They look up, startled, and you see the shame burning in their eyes. I'm failing, they whisper. I'm stupid. Everyone else can do it. You are not stupid, you say with absolute certainty. Your brain works beautifully. It's just working under conditions of stress that make learning nearly impossible. The fact that you kept trying, even when panic was rising, shows incredible resilience. You explain to this younger version of yourself what you now understand about anxiety, about learning differences, about how trauma impacts cognition. You reframe the entire experience from evidence of inadequacy to evidence of courage under difficult circumstances. As you do this, you feel another release in your physical body. A tightness in your throat begins to ease, the place where you have been holding back words of self-defense, of explanation, of I'm not stupid, I promise. You feel your forehead smooth, the furrow of worry that has been carved there by years of trying to prove your intelligence finally relaxing. Your 8-year-old self stands up from the desk and hugs you, and as they integrate, you feel a return of confidence, of trust in your own cognitive abilities. The scene shifts without pause, and you are now in a different setting. A living room, a birthday party, streamers and balloons, cake and presents, the chaos of children playing. But one child is not playing. Your 10-year-old self sits on the stairs, watching the party from a distance, not quite part of it. You remember this feeling, this particular flavor of loneliness. It was not that you were excluded exactly. You were invited, you were there, but you did not know how to join in. The social scripts that other children seemed to understand instinctively were a foreign language to you. You tried to participate, but your attempts came out wrong, awkward, earning you confused looks, or worse, mockery. So you learned to stay on the edges, to observe rather than engage, to protect yourself from the pain of failed connection. Your 10-year-old self looks so small sitting on those stairs, trying to make themselves invisible. You sit down beside them, not saying anything at first, just sharing the space. "I don't fit in," they finally say, voice barely audible. "There's something wrong with me. I don't know how to be like them." "There is nothing wrong with you," you respond gently. "You are wired differently, and that is not a flaw. The world is full of people like you. People who think deeply, who need quieter environments, who connect one-on-one rather than in groups. You will find your people." This could imply that the difficulty you're experiencing now is temporary, a matter of context rather than character. You help your 10-year-old self see that their preference for depth over breadth, for meaningful conversation over small talk, for creativity over competition. None of these are deficits. They are simply differences, and those differences will become strengths in adulthood. As this younger self integrates, you feel a release of social anxiety, a softening of the hypervigilance that has made every social interaction exhausting. One more from this era, and then you will move forward. You are 13 now, standing outside a middle school, watching yourself get off the bus. 13-year-old you walks with shoulders hunched, books clutched to chest like armor, eyes down. Middle school, that special hell of adolescent cruelty, where any difference is exploited, any vulnerability attacked. You watch your 13-year-old self navigate a minefield of social dynamics. They were not bullied in any spectacular way. No dramatic confrontations, no overt violence. But there were the daily paper cuts, being left out of conversations, having people fall silent when you approached, sitting alone at lunch, hearing your name followed by laughter, death by 1,000 small rejections. The vow made at 13, I am unlovable. I am socially defective. It is safer to be alone. And so began the pattern of preemptive withdrawal, of rejecting others before they could reject you, of building walls so high that no one could possibly scale them. But observe with compassion now. See that your 13-year-old self was navigating one of the most brutal social environments that exists. Adolescence in institutional settings where pack mentality reigns and individuality is punished. See that their struggle was not evidence of being unlovable, but evidence of being authentic in an environment that demanded conformity. See also the quiet strength. They kept showing up day after day, even when it hurt. They maintained their integrity, refusing to participate in the cruelty, even when participation might have earned them acceptance. They developed rich inner worlds, books, music, art, imagination that would sustain them throughout their life. You approach your 13-year-old self and tell them what they most need to hear. This is temporary. The people who cannot see your value now are operating in a system that rewards superficiality. But the real world, the adult world, has space for depth, for authenticity, for people like you. You will find your tribe. You are not unlovable. You are simply in the wrong environment for your particular gifts to be recognized. As this younger self integrates, you feel a cascade of releases. The armor around your heart, built at 13 and reinforced for years, begins to soften. The belief that you must earn love through performance, through being someone you are not, starts to dissolve. The preemptive rejection, the pattern of leaving before you can be left, loses its grip. Your 13-year-old returns to you with all their complexity, their depth, their refusal to betray themselves, and you welcome them home. The quantum field shifts around you, the landscape morphing to accommodate the next phase of your journey. The structures you approach now are larger, more complex, their dark light pulsing with a particular pain of teenage years when identity formation collides with social rejection. The guide speaks. The teenage years are when childhood wounds calcify into core beliefs about self. These are crucial moments to revisit and reframe. You find yourself standing outside a house at night, looking up at a lit window. You are 16 in this memory. Through the window, you can see yourself sitting on a bed, phone in hand, staring at the screen with an expression of devastation. You remember this night with visceral clarity. You had finally worked up the courage to express romantic interest in someone, had sent a message that took hours to compose, each word agonized over. And the response, or lack of response, had been crushing. Either they had replied with casual dismissal, ha ha ha, no thanks, or they had screenshot your message and shared it with others for mockery. Or perhaps worse, they had never responded at all, leaving you in an agonizing limbo of checking your phone obsessively, each hour of silence confirming what you feared most. You were undesirable, unworthy of romantic love. The 16-year-old version of you had cried that night, deep, gasping sobs of humiliation and rejection. And they had made a vow that would shape all future relationships. I will never be that vulnerable again. I will never risk being seen in my desire. I will remain controlled, detached, safe. You enter the room and sit beside your 16-year-old self on the bed. They look at you with swollen eyes, still clutching the phone. I'm so stupid, they say. Why did I think they could ever want me? I'm not attractive enough, not cool enough, not anything enough. Stop, you say gently but firmly. You are interpreting rejection as evidence of your inadequacy. But rejection is not a measure of worth. It is a measure of compatibility, of timing, of the other person's capacity and preferences. You help your younger self see that the person who rejected them was also 16, likely terrified of their own vulnerability, operating from their own wounds and insecurities. Your courage to express desire, to risk being seen in your wanting. That was beautiful, you continue. Most people your age were too afraid to be that honest. You took an emotional risk, and yes, it hurt when it didn't work out the way you hoped. But the alternative was staying safe and small, never reaching for connection, and that would have hurt more in the long run. You explained to your 16-year-old self what you now understand. desirability is not objective. It is not a measure that can be failed. People are attracted to or not attracted to other people for infinitely complex reasons that have nothing to do with objective worth. This particular person not wanting romantic involvement was simply information about their preferences, not a judgment on your fundamental lovability. As you reframe this memory, you watch your 16-year-old self's posture change. The hunched, defeated collapse begins to straighten. The self-loathing in their eyes begins to shift towards self-compassion. "So, I'm not defective?" they ask tentatively. "You are not defective," you confirm. "You are a person with desires and hopes who had the courage to express them. Some people will reciprocate, some won't. That's the nature of human connection. But your worthiness is not contingent on reciprocation." Your 16-year-old self nods slowly, as if hearing a truth they desperately wanted to believe but couldn't access alone. As they integrate, you feel something profound release in your own body. The walls around your heart, built at 16 to prevent future rejection, begin to crumble. The pattern of emotional unavailability, of keeping potential partners at arm's length to avoid the pain of rejection, starts to dissolve. Your capacity for romantic vulnerability, for allowing yourself to want and be wanted, returns. Another structure, another frozen moment. You are 18 now, sitting in a car in a parking lot, having just had a conversation with a parent. The conversation was about your future, college, career, life path. And the parent, perhaps trying to be practical, perhaps projecting their own fears and disappointments, had said something devastating. "I don't think you're cut out for that. You need to be realistic about your limitations. Not everyone can." Whatever your specific dream was, artist, writer, scientist, entrepreneur, healer, it had been dismissed as unrealistic, as evidence of grandiosity or naivety. And your 18-year-old self had internalized that message, had felt the dream shrivel and die inside them, replaced by a more realistic path that felt like wearing clothes several sizes too small. You open the car door and slide into the passenger seat beside your 18-year-old self. They are staring straight ahead, jaw clenched, eyes dry because they have learned not to cry in front of anyone. "They're right," your 18-year-old says flatly. "I was being stupid. It's not a realistic goal." Or, you counter, the person who said that was speaking from their own limitations, their own fears, their own unrealized dreams. You help your younger self see that parents and other authority figures are not omniscient. They are humans, carrying their own wounds, often projecting their own disappointments onto the next generation. Their inability to believe in your dream does not make the dream impossible. It makes their imagination limited. Based on what we know now, we can assume that their fear of your potential failure was really a fear that you might succeed where they failed, that you might live a life bigger than they dared to live, and that your success would highlight their own compromises. This reframe does not require making the parent villainous. It simply requires seeing them as human, limited, imperfect. Your dream was valid, you tell your 18-year-old self. Whether you ultimately pursue it or not, whether it manifests exactly as you imagined or takes a different form, the dreaming itself was important. It was your soul speaking, your authentic self trying to chart a course. And even if you did take a more conventional path for a while, even if you compromised or detoured, you can always return to the dream. It is never too late. As your 18-year-old self absorbs these words, something extraordinary happens in your present moment body. A tightness in your solar plexus, the place where personal power and authentic will reside, begins to unlock. Ambitions and dreams that you buried as unrealistic start to stir, not as naive fantasies, but as valid expressions of your authentic path. The permission to dream big, to want more, to refuse compromise, it all comes flooding back. Your 18-year-old self turns to you with something like hope in their eyes. Is it really okay to want more? They ask. To not settle? It is not just okay, you reply. It is essential. You are here to live your life, not someone else's vision of what your life should be. As this self integrates, you feel the return of your will, your drive, your refusal to make yourself small to fit other people's comfort levels. The adolescent years, with all their particular flavors of rejection and wounding, are finally being witnessed, validated, and released. The quantum field around you is transforming. Where there were once numerous dark structures scattered across the landscape, there is now mostly soft, warm light. Each frozen moment you have visited, each younger self you have witnessed with compassion, has collapsed from a state of painful fragmentation into a state of loving integration. You are gathering yourself, calling home all the exiled parts, welcoming back all the versions of yourself you had to leave behind in order to survive. The guide appears beside you once more, their presence warm and affirming. You have done profound work tonight, they say. You have practiced the art of quantum observation, seeing your past not through the lens of shame, but through the lens of compassion and understanding. You have collapsed wave functions of unworthiness into wave functions of inherent value. And in doing so, you have fundamentally reorganized your nervous system's threat assessment. You can feel this reorganization happening at a cellular level. Every younger self that has integrated has brought their particular gifts back to you. The 5-year-old returned your capacity for undefended joy and open-hearted love. The 8-year-old returned your trust in your own intelligence and capability. The 10-year-old returned your acceptance of your unique wiring, your differences as strengths rather than deficits. The 13-year-old returned your integrity, your refusal to betray yourself for acceptance. The 16-year-old returned your capacity for romantic vulnerability. The 18-year-old returned your permission to dream big, to want more, to refuse settling. All of these parts were always yours, but they had been locked in frozen moments, their energy unavailable to your present-day life. Now they are flowing freely, integrated into the wholeness of who you are. You are no longer a fragmented collection of survival strategies and protective adaptations. You are becoming whole. From the center of your being, from that space in your chest where the tightness used to live, words begin to arise. They are not affirmations you are forcing yourself to believe, but truths emerging from your integrated consciousness. They are spoken in a chorus of voices, all your ages speaking together in perfect harmony. I am not too much, and I am not too little. I am exactly the right size for my life. My feelings are not my enemies. They are my guidance system, my connection to aliveness, my proof that I am fully human. My needs do not make me a burden. Having needs is part of being alive, and expressing them is an act of trust and courage. I am safe in my body. My body is not a source of shame or danger. It is my home, my vehicle for experiencing life. I am worthy of love, not because of what I achieve or how I perform, but because I exist. My existence itself is enough. I can trust myself. I have survived everything that has happened so far, and that survival is evidence of my resilience and capability. I am allowed to take up space, to have preferences, to set boundaries, to say no, to say yes, to choose myself. My past does not define my future. Every moment is an opportunity to choose differently, to collapse the wave function toward wholeness rather than wounding. These statements land in your system not as concepts, but as felt experiences. Your nervous system recognizes them as true, updating decades of faulty programming in real time. The guide places a hand on your shoulder, a gesture of completion and blessing. The active work of this night is complete, they say. But the integration will continue as you sleep. Your subconscious mind will process everything you have experienced here, filing the memories in new places, creating new neural pathways, allowing these new truths to take root in the deepest layers of your being. When you wake tomorrow, you may not consciously remember all the details of this journey, the guide continues, but you will feel different, lighter, more spacious, more yourself. The chronic anxiety may not be completely gone. Healing is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. But you will have tools now. You will know how to return to this place of compassionate witnessing whenever old patterns arise. You will know how to meet your younger selves with love rather than shame. You take a final look around the quantum landscape. It is beautiful now, glowing with soft, warm light. The crystallized structures that remain, for there are some memories you have not visited tonight, no longer feel threatening. They are simply there, waiting patiently for whenever you are ready to bring compassionate observation to them. Healing is not linear, not complete in one session, but cumulative. Every act of compassionate witnessing builds on the last, creating momentum toward wholeness. The guide begins to fade. Or perhaps you are the one fading, preparing to transition from this inner landscape back to ordinary consciousness, and then into deep sleep. Thank you, you whisper, not sure if you are thanking the guide or thanking yourself for having the courage to take this journey. You are welcome, the guide responds, their voice now barely audible. And remember, you can return here anytime. This place of healing is not outside you. It is you. It is always available. With those final words, the quantum field dissolves, and you are floating in formless darkness, no longer in a landscape, but in pure, restful consciousness. The integration is complete. The healing will continue in sleep, and you are finally ready to rest. Now comes the sacred work of surrender, of allowing your conscious mind to release its grip and your subconscious to take over. The voice that has been guiding you slows even further, dropping from conversational pace into the hypnotic rhythm of 90 words per minute, then 80, each word stretching out, creating space between thoughts. Bring your awareness back to your physical body, the voice murmurs. Feel yourself lying in your bed, supported completely by the mattress beneath you. You notice the contact points, your heels sinking into the softness, your calves heavy and relaxed. The backs of your thighs surrendered completely to gravity. Your hips are wide and soft, no longer braced or held. Feel the release in your lower back, the way it can finally rest without tension, trusting the support beneath it. Your mid-back, your shoulder blades, your shoulders, all pressing gently into the bed, given over to the earth's pull, to the deep rest that your body has been longing for. Your arms lie at your sides or rest on your belly, heavy as stone, warm and loose. There is no effort anywhere, no holding, no vigilance. Your hands are soft, palms open or gently curled, fingers relaxed, no tension in your wrists or knuckles. Feel the blood flowing freely through your arms and hands, nourishing every cell, carrying healing to every tissue. Your neck is aligned, your head perfectly positioned on your pillow, no strain in the muscles that have held it upright all day. Your jaw is completely loose, your lips barely touching or slightly parted, your tongue resting gently against the bottom of your mouth. This simple release of jaw tension signals to your entire nervous system. There is nothing to defend against, nothing to speak, nothing to do but rest. Your face is soft, the voice continues, each word a gentle stroke of relaxation. The tiny muscles around your eyes, which work so hard to focus and scan and interpret, are completely at rest. The muscles around your eyes, which have held expression and vigilance all day, soften into neutrality. Your forehead is smooth, no furrow of concentration or worry. Your eyebrows rest softly above your closed eyes. Your eyelids are so heavy now, weighted down by the deep relaxation spreading through your entire being. Your whole face is soft. The voice continues in its slow, hypnotic cadence. Your cheeks, your lips, your chin, all released from the tension of expression, of maintaining an outward face for the world. Now you can simply be, without performance, without effort. Your breath has become so slow and deep that you barely notice it anymore. It flows in and out like a gentle tide, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, the optimal rhythm for parasympathetic activation, for deep healing. Each exhale takes you deeper into rest, deeper into the healing state where your body can finally do the repair work it has been postponing for years. As you rest here in complete physical surrender, your subconscious mind takes over, the voice whispers. This is where the real magic happens. While your conscious mind rests, your deeper mind processes everything you have experienced tonight. Every memory you witnessed with compassion, every younger self you welcomed home, every quantum collapse from shame to worthiness. All of this is being integrated now, woven into the fabric of who you are. Your brain moves through its natural sleep architecture. First, you drift through the alpha and theta waves of light sleep, that liminal space between waking and dreaming where creativity flourishes and insights emerge. Here, the boundaries between conscious and subconscious blur, allowing new neural connections to form without the interference of your analytical mind. Then you descend deeper into true delta sleep, where your brain waves slow to their lowest frequency. This is the healing zone, where growth hormone floods your system, repairing tissues, consolidating memories, strengthening your immune system. This is where trauma is processed and filed away, its emotional charge reduced, its grip on your nervous system loosened. Later in the night, you will enter REM sleep, where your eyes will move rapidly behind closed lids as your brain processes emotional content through dreams. The memories you witnessed tonight may appear in symbolic form, not as nightmares, but as narrative resolutions, your subconscious mind creating new endings, new meanings, new possibilities. You may dream of being held, of being seen, of being celebrated exactly as you are. You may dream of courage, of speaking your truth, of taking up space without apology. And through all these sleep cycles, through all the mysterious work your brain and body do in the dark hours, the integration continues. The neural pathways that have kept you trapped in shame and fear are being pruned away, while new pathways of self-compassion, of worthiness, of safety, are being strengthened. Your nervous system, which has been stuck in sympathetic overdrive for so long, is resetting to a new baseline of calm. When you wake tomorrow morning, you may not consciously remember all the details of this journey. You may not recall each younger self you met, each frozen moment you witnessed, each wave function you collapsed. But you will feel different. You will notice the difference in your body first, a looseness in your jaw, a softness in your belly, a spaciousness in your chest where the knot used to be. You may find yourself taking deeper breaths without trying, your diaphragm finally able to move freely. You may notice that your shoulders sit lower, that your posture is more open, that you take up space more naturally. These are not small changes. These are evidence of a fundamental shift in your nervous system, from a state of chronic defense to a state of safety and rest. And throughout your day, you may notice other differences, subtle but profound. That familiar rush of shame when you make a small mistake. It may not come, or it may come more quietly, easier to observe and release. That impulse to apologize for existing, to minimize your needs, to make yourself smaller. It may soften, replaced by a quiet confidence in your right to be exactly as you are. You may find yourself setting a boundary without the usual guilt, expressing a preference without apologizing, accepting a compliment without deflecting. These are signs that the integration is holding, that the work you did tonight is manifesting in your waking life. This is quantum healing made real, not a mystical escape from reality, but a fundamental reorganization of how you relate to yourself and the world. The healing you have experienced tonight is not a one-time fix. It is the beginning of a new relationship with yourself, a practice you can return to again and again. Whenever old patterns arise, and they will, because healing is not linear, you can come back to this place of compassionate witnessing. You can ask yourself, what younger version of me is being triggered right now? What frozen moment is asking to be seen? And you can practice the quantum observation you learned tonight, seeing the full picture, recognizing the superposition of multiple truths, collapsing the wave function toward wholeness rather than wounding. This is a skill, a practice, a way of being that will serve you for the rest of your life. You are no longer at the mercy of unhealed wounds. You are now the compassionate observer, the one who can meet pain with love, fear with understanding, shame with radical acceptance. As you drift now into the deepest layers of sleep, as consciousness fades completely and your body takes over the work of repair and renewal, know that you are held. Not by any external force, but by the solid ground of your own being. By the integrated wholeness of all your ages and stages, by the love you have finally learned to turn toward yourself. You are safe. You are whole. You are enough. And you are allowed to rest now, to let go completely, to trust that healing continues even as you sleep. The 5-year-old is home. The 8-year-old is home. The 10-year-old, the 13-year-old, the 16-year-old, the 18-year-old. All home, all safe, all integrated into the magnificent complexity of who you are. Your breath continues, slow and steady, the rhythm of deep rest. Your heart beats reliably, pumping life through every cell. Your nervous system hums at its new baseline of safety. And you sleep, deeply and dreamlessly at first, then moving through cycles of processing and integration, your brain and body doing the sacred work that only sleep allows. Hours pass. Your body temperature drops slightly, another sign of deep parasympathetic activation. Your muscles remain completely relaxed, no twitching or tension, just pure rest. Your digestive system, finally freed from the constant flood of stress hormones, begins to function optimally again. Your immune system strengthens, your cells repair, your energy reserves replenish. This is not just sleep. This is healing sleep, restorative sleep, the kind of deep rest that changes you at a cellular level. And when the morning light begins to filter through your window, when your body naturally begins to rise toward waking consciousness, you will emerge changed. You will stretch and yawn and open your eyes to a world that looks the same, but feels different because you are different. The heaviness in your chest is gone, or at least significantly lighter. The constant background anxiety has quieted to a whisper. The shame that colored every interaction has faded, replaced by a quiet, steady sense of your own worth. You will move through your morning routine, showering, dressing, eating breakfast, and you may notice how much easier it all feels. How much less effort it takes to simply be yourself when you are no longer carrying the accumulated weight of decades of unhealed wounds. You are lighter now, not because you have lost something, but because you have integrated something. You have called yourself home. And as you go out into your day, into your life, into the world with all its complexity and challenge, you carry with you the knowledge that you are whole, that you have always been whole, even when you felt fragmented, that the wounds you carried were never evidence of your brokenness, but evidence of your sensitivity, your depth, your capacity to feel and to survive. You are not too much, and you are not too little. You are exactly right. Your feelings are your guides, not your enemies. Your needs are valid, not shameful. Your desires are sacred, not selfish. Your boundaries are necessary, not rude. Your existence is enough, not contingent on performance or perfection. This is the truth that quantum healing has revealed, that you contain within yourself everything you need for wholeness. That the observer effect applies not just to particles, but to consciousness itself. That the simple act of witnessing yourself with compassion can collapse decades of conditioning, can reorganize your nervous system, can set you free from prisons you did not even know you were in. Sleep now, deeply and completely. Let the integration continue. Let your body heal. Let your mind rest. Let your heart soften. You have done profound work tonight. You have traveled back through time not to change what happened, but to change your relationship with what happened. You have met yourself with love in moments that desperately needed it. You have become whole. And in the morning, you will wake as someone new, not different from who you truly are, but finally aligned with it. The journey continues, but you are no longer traveling alone. All your selves walk with you now, integrated and whole. You are home. Rest now. Heal now. Sleep now. You are safe. You are loved. You are enough. Always have been. Always will be.